Okay, welcome back, everybody. Today is Friday, January 17th. Today we're going to be finishing up Chapter 1, Marketing in an Entrepreneurial Context. We left off last class with the market fulfillment versus market creation. And today we're going to be picking up with social media and the entrepreneurial game. So obviously I think everyone knows that... Oh, sorry. Turn the TV on. I thought I already did that.
Yeah, the light's on. It's just on.
I didn't plug my computer in. That would help. Sorry. I thought when I turned the computer on, I'd already plugged this in, but I guess not. Is that better?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, not a blank screen. All right. Sorry about that. All right. So I think everyone knows what social media is by now. It's been around for a pretty good amount of time by now. And I think everyone knows the power that social media can have, and its global reach, seems like everyone from just little kids all the way up to grandparents are using it. As we know, there's like Facebook, Twitter, just all kinds of different forums you can get on and use, obviously with Facebook being the largest. So how is social media going to be important to the entrepreneur?
It's just going to be a really convenient way to market because it's going to be able to reach a lot of people for not a lot of money.
Right. So it gives you a nice platform for marketing for sure. You can have a global reach without spending a lot of money. You can just make you a page and start getting followers and so on and so forth. It's a great way to communicate with and get to know your customers and follow them. We watched a video. I don't know. Did we watch the video? We watched the Mark Zuckerberg video last semester. So we learned a little bit about how he built Facebook and everything, and how he said it was like the holy grail for marketers, and because it actually tells where they live, what they like, what they want, what they're doing at that exact moment. So it can be a very, very valuable tool for an entrepreneur or for someone who already has an established business. So social media definitely has changed just the environment of business, and especially in the marketing context. So obviously social media is an emergent concept in marketing. It's going to change the way consumers shop for and buy products and services, as we see that with social media. We have Facebook Marketplace and stuff like that, where you can actually go on there and buy stuff and sell stuff. So it kind of has its own form, sort of like the what was the form, eBay, or what was the form where you can sell eBay? Is that what it is? Yeah. So I know that's not a social media, but it's kind of, they use that same form for their platform within their social media. It should be used to complement traditional marketing and not replace it. So obviously we still want our traditional paper ads and run ads on television or radio or however the means that you used to do. You still want to continue those channels, because there's going to be some ears and some eyes that actually will not see it on Facebook that might still see it there. So you still want to keep your traditional channels open for marketing, but you just want to use your social media as just an extra layer on top of that. Social media is going to empower customers to communicate with the organization and with other customers. Obviously, we know that chats on there and post stuff on the timeline and all that stuff, and just talk back and forth with one another. So it's going to be good for communications, as we said a little earlier. Entrepreneurs need to actively engage and leverage social media. And as you said earlier, it can be a very cost-efficient way of having a nice global reach. Components to social media, social platforms, social content, and the overall social interactions. So that's pretty much it for social media. We all know that it's a powerful tool, and with that being available to us at a cheap cost, then we should take advantage of it as entrepreneurs. Okay, the external marketing environment. Does anyone have a clue what that might be, just off the top of your head?
Not really. I'd just be a shot in the dark.
All right. So pretty much it's everything around your business. It's all things that go on around you: regulations, just laws, different standards, your competition, your customers. It's everything. Your external marketing environment is just all forces out there that you're having to deal with and compete with. So it says here, businesses do not operate in a vacuum, and entrepreneurs are going to be affected by outside forces. So obviously, if a business does not operate in a vacuum, that means that obviously exactly what it means. That we're going to be affected by the environmental forces and competition and all that stuff. These forces can serve as an accelerator or a brake. So either it could actually speed your business up or break your business, depending on how you face and how you go about dealing with these different forces that come at you. So as we see, let's for example, Jeff Bezos with Amazon, the internet. He used the internet, that force that was coming up. He used that and created a new platform and changed retail forever. And now he's the richest man in the world and has the most successful online, selling platform out there. So that's a way that it can accelerate people. It can also break people because the internet and like Netflix and all that. Look what it did to like Blockbuster and these video outlets where you used to go and be able to just walk in and look at all the movies on the shelf and stuff. But it broke them. So it's important to know how these forces are moving and what these trends are within society, so that we can brace ourselves for it and try to hopefully engage in those forces and try to like take them on as a plus so it can accelerate it and grow. So that's why it's always important to know what's going on around you, because all these outside forces can affect the way that you truly want to run your business. A lot of entrepreneurs think when they go into starting a business, they know exactly what they're going to sell, who their customers are going to be, what they're going to want, and how they're going to operate their business. But the truth of the matter is these external forces and the external marketing environment can actually affect the way that your business is ran and the way that you sell things and the price that you set and everything. So that's why it's so key and so important. And that's ultimately why it can't accelerate it or break your business. Successful entrepreneurs are constantly evaluating the external market. So using opportunities to market to their advantage. So obviously, as I said before, like Jeff Bezos with the internet, he used that to his advantage. All the groundwork was there. The internet was created. He just used what someone else created, and they seen that trend coming and just hopped on it and then just added his little twist to it. So just always be on the look. Main thing is always be on the lookout and be observant of what's going on around you. Okay, the 5 forces in the entrepreneurial marketing environment. So the first one here it says is social forces. So that could be stuff like population characteristics, the values and behavior. So we know that across different social forces, different types of people, they have different values in life. They want different things. They have different cultures and stuff of that sort. So you have to know what those likes are and what those differences and tendencies are in order to be able to relate to those people and hopefully reach them with a product or a service that they'd be interested in. The culture of our country and just different countries around the world. Obviously, different cultures have different ways of practicing things and have different needs and desires. Here it says time poverty. In America, I know a lot of us have time poverty, meaning we're always working or studying and just don't have time to do anything. While your all's business would have been a good idea with the laundry thing, people don't have time to do laundry a lot of times because it's just time poverty. And we've become a country that wants more and is always trying to move forward. But in order to do so, you're going to have a little bit of time issues, time constraints, because you're constantly trying to succeed and move forward. So obviously, time poverty can come into play. Some of the economic forces, the macroeconomic level and the microeconomic level. I know the name pretty much says it, but does everyone understand the difference between the micro and the macroeconomic levels? Okay, so the macroeconomic level is dealing with like the country on a whole, how the economy on the grand scale of things is doing. So we want to be concerned with the macroeconomic level, because if the society or if the economy as a whole is shrinking, then we need to know that. If it's accelerating or if it's expanding, then on the macro level, then we know that people are more apt to buy stuff that they wouldn't as when it's shrinking. Or if it's shrinking, they're going to be more conscious on saving and trying to make that dollar spread out as far as it can go. But if it's expanding, then I know people are going to be willing to spend a little more for some luxury items that they normally wouldn't and stuff of that sort. They might travel more. So that's always nice to keep up with the stuff on the macro level. The microeconomic level is more on the individual level. So that's it's a macro, large, micro, small. So it's just a different scale of how you're looking at things. One's a large scale and the micro level's on the individual level. Well, it might be important to be concerned with the micro level.
probably just so you know your customers are gonna have the money to buy your product.
Exactly. That way it'll help you on are your customers even going to be able to afford to buy the product? That'll tell you whether, because if you're trying to open up some luxury thing in a time, let's say when the micro economic level is contracting, and the micro level is also, people are really hurting right now, then chances are it's not a really good time to start a luxury service, because people just can't afford it. So that's why it's kind of the same thing. It's just a different scale. So and it helps set your price too on your products. It helps you determine what products you want to actually push at the time, whatever's going on in the economy, and what price level you can ultimately set. But the main thing is, can people afford on the micro level? It's, can people afford the product that I'm gonna provide to them, or service. Technological forces. Obviously, technology is what this is talking about. We just spoke on one of the main things that's actually having a huge impact on marketing is the social networks and stuff of that sort. Like the social media, like Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff, is having a huge impact on it, as it changes the way that these companies can reach their customers. Competitive forces. Here it says, never state that you have no competition. You always have competition, no matter what it would be. So just don't ever be forward thinking that you don't have any competition. The book says something about if you're going to a bank trying to obtain capital or obtain a loan, to never, obviously when you're meeting with them, never tell them you have no competition, because pretty much they're going to laugh at you and know you always have competition. So always know you have competition, and even if you feel as if you don't, operate and keep moving forward as if you do, because there's always someone out there, whether you know it or not, that's trying to outdo you, and whether either one of y'all know it, that's trying to do the same thing you are. So you always want to try to stay a step ahead of your competition. So know there's competitive forces out there, and use them to give yourself more of an umph to want to do something to outdo them, and just make sure you stay in the lead. Regulatory forces, deregulation, regulation. I think everyone knows about some regulatory forces with law. Good example is my brother. He's a welding inspector, and he was just over, and he was working on the Appalachian pipeline somewhere over there near the Greenbrier Valley over through there, and the regulation got involved. People were protesting, and it shut the site down, temporarily, but he was laid off over it, and now he's actually on his way to Wyoming to work on another pipeline because he had to go over there. So that's how much regulations affect his industry specifically, because of all the EPA and environmental agencies that come into play, worried about the environment when they're digging these pipelines and stuff. So it really affects him. It can affect us. It affected the accounting profession with Sarbanes-Oxley back in the early 2000s with the Enron scandal and Arthur Anderson. So regulation totally changed with the audits on independence, with firms on dealing. If you audit somebody, you can't do their compilations or reviews or their tax returns and stuff like that. So deregulation can help a lot as well. It can actually open up a lot of industries like construction and stuff of sort like that. But the main thing is a good balance. Obviously, you always want to be conscious about the environment and everything, but not overkill on it. But so just know, good thing to know of what industry you choose to go in. Know there is going to be some regulations and regulatory forces that ultimately will affect what you're trying to do, and that can be at the state level and the federal level. So environmental scanning is the next topic. Environmental scanning is the process of continually acquiring information on your external marketing environment, and this is to identify and interpret potential trends that may lead to entrepreneurial business opportunities. Environmental scanning is going to be referred to as trend spotting. So obviously you're just going to try to find out what's going on, what's hip at the time, and see which way societies are moving, because ultimately that'll help you in determining what product or service you need to bring to these people because of their wants and desires. So do you know what the difference between a trend and a fad is?
Not really.
So a trend is something that's going to last longer than a fad. A fad kind of comes and goes. A trend can actually shape citizens and change the direction in which people and the people's habits and likes and stuff like that. So it says a trend is a specific or general direction that society is headed. It makes a difference in the way people live and work. And it's different from a fad because a fad comes and goes quickly and does not change society. So we're more so concerned with trends as opposed to fads, because fads just come and go real quick, and whereas trends tend to stay for a little bit longer of a time. So environmental scanning is obviously a great way of kind of a good way to kind of do your research and just see what's going on in the environment, to know where the environment, or know where the communities in the environment is heading.
It might be kind of hard to tell the difference whenever you're just looking in from the outside to whether or not that's something trend or fad.
Right, and I think it would be too, especially early on, because early on you can't really say if it's a trend or a fad, because you don't know until time's the only test that'll tell whether it's going to be a trend or a fad, because a fad, what, maybe a month or two, maybe a year, I don't know what their time frame is they're talking about. It's just they say the trend is longer, but in the beginning, it would be hard to tell the difference between the two. And I guess that could be a lot of ways that a lot of businesses fail. They jump on some fads and think, oh well, this is the where the environment or the economy, the people in it are going, and then they end up missing it and it goes another direction. So I guess that's a nice little threshold to kind of determine what the difference between the two. And I guess it could be either make or break you, either way. But I guess you're right, time's the only thing that'll tell on that one. Let's see here. So how you can become a good scanner. Adjust your reading and listening and viewing habits. So whatever you're reading and viewing, you want to try to tailor it to something that you're interested in, as far as like trying to create like a business idea or something. So just, you don't want to waste your time just reading irrelevant stuff, like just busy gossip stuff or whatever it might be. Just really focus your reading on something that's going to make you learn something about your industry or your customers or something of that sort. So that can help out and just focusing in on what you read and what you listen to. Network with the right people. A lot of times, obviously, you are who you associate with, so you're always going to want to put yourself around people that are going to pick you up and not bring you down, and people that are going to give you a different insight into stuff. The book says it would be nice to be able to take like an artist or a psychologist or a psychiatrist or something to lunch and just spend some time and pick their brain with them, because they can kind of give you a little bit of an insight onto how people behave and stuff of that sort, and because they're kind of into that type of stuff, so it kind of gives you a different perspective, because most people that usually start a business usually have a business background a lot of times. So just picking different people's brains and kind of just becoming a more well-rounded individual, really, and just finding out what people out there are really interested in. So always network with the right people. Be self-observant. Find out what makes you tick. What do you like? What do you dislike? When do you like it? Why do you do it? Why do you go to certain stores? Because a lot of times, humans act the same way. They have the same tendencies a lot of times. Obviously everyone's different, but a lot of characteristics and traits, can be parallel among people and really correlate with people. So a lot of times, if you can be self-observant and find out stuff that you like and that you want, then a lot of times that can relate to other people, and maybe you can find out stuff that way. So it's always good to be self-observant. Also, it's good to be self-observant because you can kind of find areas where you need help and doing better in certain areas. So everyone can always do better in certain areas. Everyone does really well in certain areas. Some people do not as well in certain areas, sometimes because of lack of effort or just they struggle in that area. But it's just good to be self-observant just for both those reasons. You can better yourself in areas you're kind of gray in, and like I said, stuff you like might be something that someone else likes. Challenge your assumptions. So a lot of times people, are reluctant to change. They don't really, that they assume something is something, and that's just what it is. They don't want to challenge it. They don't want to go against any norms. So people, like, I know in a company, a lot of times they have processes, and someone comes along and thinks they might know something better, but people are always like, hey, well, we've been doing it like this forever. Why change? But a lot of times change is a good thing. Sometimes it could be bad, but most of the times change is good. Change is when you grow. Change is when new things can come about. So just always challenge your assumptions. Don't think that just because the way you're doing it or what you think people might like is exactly right all the time. A lot of times you could be wrong. So a lot of times it's good to challenge whatever your assumptions might be, because it could lead to some good ideas if you do so. You want to spend time watching and talking with customers. Obviously, I think that's pretty much self-explanatory there. If you spend time with the customer, you're going to get to know them on a more intimate level. You're going to be able to know more of what they want, more of what they like, why they do stuff, and learn a little bit more about them. So obviously, you want to spend some time with the customers. Here's just a little chart from the book. It says it's an environmental scan of the United States. So we'll start with and then you can see here it's the same 5 forces of the external marketing environment for the entrepreneur. So just to give an idea of like a little environmental scan of the United States. In the social scan, it has growing ethnic diversity, aging, time poverty, value consciousness, and eco-consciousness. So we can kind of see where society is heading there. And I think everyone can see there that pretty much all that stuff is pretty true in there. As far as the economic scan of the U.S., growth in electronic commerce economy, we see that shift toward an experience economy where people want to actually go out and try new things and be more experiential. Technology, what's the technological scan look like? Diffusion of digital and mobile technologies, growth in biotechnology and nanotechnology, advances in medicine and medical treatments. We see that medicine's becoming more and more advanced, surgery's less invasive, and all this stuff. So that's definitely right on there. The competitive scan is going to increase in global competition. We're seeing this emergence of China and India as global competitiveness, and emergence of entrepreneurial enterprises. So we are seeing with the tech. I think technology's a big reason why we're seeing more and more entrepreneurs, nowadays, because I think it is probably the easiest time to start with all your tools at your hands, especially with the internet. Regulatory, increased protection for intellectual property, so like trademarks and stuff of that sort. So everyone knows about the trademark laws and everything. Increased emphasis on free trade and deregulation to encourage competition. So that's a little idea of just an environmental scan of the United States of what it would look like. Obviously, that's not an all-inclusive scan there. It's just kind of picking bits and pieces of what they wanted to put into each one of these forces here. So that's that on a little scale there. And the next thing, that's it for the actual content right there of chapter 1. So we've covered that, and this is the entrepreneurial exercise right here. It says engage in some environmental scanning through broad-based reading or other means. Spot some trends. What are they? What type of marketing opportunities do these trends offer to the potential entrepreneur? And then make a list of 2 or 3 opportunities and go into the market and talk to 5 or 6 potential customers to get their feedback on the opportunities. Do the customers agree that there is an opportunity or not? And on this, with talking to people, you don't have to actually go. And if you want to, you can. But if you want to just talk to some, just text someone your idea or something, or some family members or stuff of that sort, and just, get some opinions. That's all you need to do. Don't worry about spending too much of your time actually trying to drive around and do all that stuff. Just some people that are going to respond quick to you so you can do your exercise and move on. That's the point of it, is just to try to pick a few people's brains. So don't look into too much into that whole going out and spending too much time doing that. Just ask a few people after you get your ideas, and then just jot it down on paper and just go through with the exercise. So just don't think too much into it right there. Main point is just to get the idea out there and just see what their responses are, and just put it in words on paper and just see what it is, and that's it there. So that ends chapter 1. We've covered off chapter 1, so that puts us on time. Everyone, please remember the entrepreneurial exercise I just read is due next Sunday. Let me just make sure. Yeah, Sunday, January 26th at 11:59 p.m. So we still have 9 days and 15 hours to complete that task. Remember, next Monday there is no class because of MLK Day, so no classes on Monday, so that's nice. So on Wednesday of next week, we'll be picking up with Chapter 2, Finding and Evaluating the Right Marketing Opportunity. So for now, just work on the entrepreneurial exercise, and then Wednesday we'll get into chapter 2, and everyone enjoy their Monday off. It's nice to, after the first week of class, already having another little vacation.
And sleep a little longer on Monday.
All right.